What is going on, Birdland? Stephen Heckman here for the final strike. Episode 5 is underway and it is opening day eve. Final Strike is brought to you by the Baltimore Battery, so don't forget to head over to the baltimorebattery.com. Check us out for some various writings, plus our season predictions that was just come out today. So be sure to head over to the baltimorebattery.com, give them a like, share, and follow. Also find them on X and TikTok at the Be More Battery. But let's get things started. We are day before opening day, one more night's sleep, and it's here. And I know Birdland's thoroughly excited. Most people wish we were playing at home. We all do. But not only are we opening on the road, we're opening in a different country. But it is what it is, against our AL East rival. So predictions abound. We know it's going to be a fun and exciting season. It's probably one of the strongest teams we are fielding going into opening day. I definitely think our bullpen is probably the strongest aspect of the team. I think we got a lot of speed on the team. I think we got a lot of good contact hitting, and we also have power. And I honestly think our starting pitching staff is going to surprise a lot of people. I think Zach Eflin's going to step up and be that leader of the pitching staff during this time. I think Grayson Rodriguez returns probably end of April, beginning of May, and takes that next step forward that we've all been waiting for. I think Dean Kramer is actually going to prove a lot. He's 29 this year. He's entering the prime of his career, so I expect a lot from him going forward and stepping up. So it'll be interesting to see what type of progress he does or he procures this year. I think Sagano is actually going to be a surprise to people. I think he's going to do a lot better than people anticipate. I think he's going to be a good anchor to the team. And I think he's really going to surprise a lot of people who aren't expecting big things from him, mainly because he's 35. It's also going to be his first year pitching in the big leagues after spending most of his career in the Nippon Professional League. So I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch because I kind of, there's an excitement around him and a confidence in him. And he feels like he can be that missing link that can help get us to the next level in the postseason. And it'd be great if he was. I think Charlie Morton is going to provide a lot of mentorship and leadership to our team. 41 years of age. He's been in the league a long time. He's also one of the few pitchers who over the last 7 years, minus the COVID season, has made at least 30 starts and pitched 167 or more innings. We just signed Kyle Gibson, who is one of 7 pitchers who has made 30 starts over the last 4 years. We actually have 2 of them now. I also do believe that the first half of our season, it's not going to be a runaway like in the past, like we opened big leagues or we exploded all over the place. I honestly think it's going to be a pretty fair to good first half. And I think when we start getting people back, such as Gunnar Henderson and Jorge Mateo, it's just going to strengthen our lineup. I also believe that when we get Kyle Bradish back and Tyler Wells, watch out, because we are going to have the depth that's going to be able to compete with anybody, not only in the bullpen, but in the starting rotation. And I just think we're going to have a stronger second half than the first half, which would be great, especially after the slump we kind of went into the second half last year where we only finished 500 and actually for the first time in over a year had back-to-back losing months and our first losing month. So I'm expecting big things. I've actually got us winning approximately about 94 games this year. I think we will be fighting for the division title. One way or another, we're actually going to make the postseason. I would prefer it to be as the AL East champions, but I'm not going to be upset if we make the wild card. My biggest thing is when we get to the postseason, I would like to see us end our streak of 10 straight postseason losses. So this dates back quite some time. So it'd be nice to actually get over that hump. But we're at the position where we are ready to start being in that talk for World Series competitor. And I think we're there. I know a lot of Birdland's not going to agree with me on this because people don't feel like we have that it factor in the starting pitching. And I believe we do. I think Zach Eflin is more of what we've been looking for in a pitcher than people realize. Yes, Corbin Burns was a good and strong pitcher for us, but Corbin Burns, Here in the Baltimore Battery, we kind of expected Corbin Burns to leave free agency. He did say Baltimore was starting to feel more like home at one point, but he also said that he wanted to test the free agent market and see what was out there. And everybody was sitting there talking about how, the Toronto Blue Jays, Baltimore Orioles, and I think I want to say the Padres, I could be wrong on the third team, were the ones that were the finalists, maybe the Giants, but were the finalists for Corbin Burns. And then all of a sudden, Arizona comes through and he signs with them for less years and less money. Now, the circumstances do make sense. His wife did recently have twins with the contract that allows him to actually go home when he's not pitching. And during spring training, when he wasn't going to be pitching, he was going to actually go home. So there's a lot of ability to be closer to his family, and I definitely understand it. But we at the Baltimore Battery kind of expected him once we got him. We knew it was a contract season, and he had always said he wanted to find out what free agency was about and what it was like. So we kind of expected him to leave at that point. Um, would have loved to retain him. Would have loved to start the season with Grayson Rodriguez as the opening day starter, but unfortunately, he's having some tendonitis issues in the elbow. They just did have some more imaging done. And the great news is there was no ligament damage. So that's a plus. So that's another way Birdland could have another sigh of relief. We've dealt enough with those Tommy John and UCL injuries between Bautista, Bradish, Wells, John Means, and even Jorge Mateo. And we're going to actually talk about Mateo here in a few minutes. But I think it's very comforting and reassuring in the fact that it's just tendonitis flare up. And honestly, I'm having one of them right now. So I kind of feel what he's feeling. It's literally right back here in the elbow. And then it runs down the tricep. And the funny thing is, like doing this, it's all right. It doesn't hurt. It's when you actually move outward, when you do the extension, you can feel it. And the pain shoots up here and it shoots down. The other thing is when you go to lift anything. So we're going to take Foxhole, which Foxhole, as you know, is one of the companies that I've partnered with. But anyway, we're going to take one of those Foxhole powder. So like with this hand, I can do this and grip it, no problem. With this hand, with what I'm experiencing right now, and it's very similar to what is going on with Grayson Rodriguez. So like I can't, this is my dominant hand, my lefty. I can't grip this as tight as I can with the right hand. As I grip, the pain is right here in this elbow part and it shoots down into the fingers. And it literally feels like somebody is or something is holding you from being able to let your strength out. Same thing when you go out like this, your arm tightens up right through here and it prevents you from actually getting the full extension. So as a pitcher, when you go to actually do your windup, one of the things we did when we take our thumbs and we would push our thumbs down and it forced our elbow up. So when you go back and you go into your windup, you're good right here. Now, this is where the terrace is at, okay, which is what Chase McDermott was dealing with and what Grayson Rodriguez dealt with last year. But as you come around up top, as you get to about right here, you can actually start feeling your arm tighten up right in here and right down into how you grip the baseball. That's what Grayson Rodriguez is dealing with right now. That's why it's actually, they shut him down for the 7 to 10 days, gave him the cortisone shot. Now, a cortisone shot can last anywhere from 6 weeks up to 6 months, depending on how severe the injury is. And it could provide enough comfort there to actually help him. Another option, which Kyle Bradish used last year, and he had a torn UCL. So keep that in mind. He pitched with a torn UCL and pitched really good for us through 8 games when he came back. But the other thing is a plasma-rich platelet injection. And what that does is that just helps speed up the healing process. So the fact that they went with a cortisone shot over the PRP tells me that the injury is just uncomfortable. It's not severe. And that's not to say down the road this isn't going to be a problem and a flare up. And eventually it might have to go and do some arthroscopic and scrape some of that arthritis off. But it's a good sign in the fact that our number one pitcher should be back within a month at the latest. The only reason it's going to take that long is he's going to basically redo spring training. So the throwing regimen where he's going to do the regular throwing, then extend the long toss off flat ground. Then you're going to go onto a mound, and then you're going to do regular pitching off the mound before you start facing live batters. Then from there, you're going to actually go into game situations and then get into a game and progress yourself up. So we should have Grayson Rodriguez back by the end of April, beginning of May, which is fine. We have enough pitching help right now that it's going to be okay. I like the fact that Cade Pavich is actually going to make the rotation. I think that's a very strong indication of the talent level that he is at and where he is at in his growth. He did have overall stats last season weren't great, 3-9, and he had a 5.40 ERA. But I look at what happened in the last month during the pennant race. We were fighting for our playoff spot and still in the division battle. And he went 2-2 across 5 games, and he had a sub-3 ERA. That was when the pressure was at the highest, and he performed in those situations. What was great about him last year is he actually got to learn on the fly, which you never like to do that with a rookie because sometimes you can actually hurt their confidence and their growth. But he had enough people around him, especially Grayson Rodriguez, and he could also pick Kyle Bradish's brain and everything like that because they were teammates before. So he knew how to approach what was going on and how to react to the situation instead of just letting his feelings and his confidence take a hit. Not to mention, he also had Corbin Burns, who had been around for some time. We got Zach Eflin in the middle of the season. So he had plenty of people that he was able to pick their brain who had been in his situation in the past or who had just currently come through his situation. And by the end of the season, it started to come together. He had a great spring training. I think it's a testament to Albert Suarez as well. Suarez, that he was in the finals for the 5th rotation spot. I do think it's a benefit actually having him in the bullpen for the simple fact that if you have a situation where a pitcher has to come out after a couple innings because he's getting hammered, or maybe he gets a ball hit off him, or God forbid, he injures himself, Albert Suarez can come in and he can provide 2, 3, 4 innings of work if necessary. We had it happen last year where Tyler Wells actually came into the game and finished the game for us, pitching 5 innings. And yeah, it shook the rotation up a little bit, but at that time, it actually benefited us because it saved our bullpen for the rest of the series. So in a situation like that, having a pitcher who is capable of starting in the bullpen gives you the ability to have a swing starter if you need it. You're on a long road trip. You want to go to a 6-man rotation because say you have a time frame where it's probably happened this year. You play 20 games in 21 days. You might need that 6th pitcher, but also it'll help protect your bullpen in the case you have to have a long reliever come in for multiple innings. The other thing is in Toronto, where the team is at, Brian Baker has a locker. So that is indicating that Matt Bowman does not. So he is more than likely not going to be on the team. Now, as of a couple hours ago, Baker did say that he hadn't been told anything. So, but if he's got a locker, it's pretty much on the wall, especially with Matt Bowman not having one. Also, Livan Soto has a locker. And the reason that's key is because that actually means Jorge Mateo is more than likely starting the season on the IL, which was already expected. Now, he did get into some games and everything like that and some game situations, but he is recovering from a UCL injury and UCL surgery, plus a dislocated elbow on top of that. So getting him more comfortable and adjusted to game situations, fielding, and batting. Now, everybody who knows Jorge Mateo knows his bat is not the strongest. When he does hit, it's electrifying, though, because the guy has some pop to him, so he can hit some home runs. But it's his speed that is important and integral to the team right now. And those are the things that we've got to be looking for, is getting him to the ability where he's going to benefit our team, not only in the field right now, because with Gunnar Henderson out, Jackson Holliday more than likely is actually going to be playing short. Levon Soto will get some play there as well. And then you're going to have Jordan Westberg, who's going to probably move from third to second with Ramon Urias playing third. Now, the cool thing is Ramon Urias last year actually proved in a long-term situation that he can be a very strong offensive player. We already know he's got strong defensive skills, but his offense is definitely sneaky good, and it's what's kept Ramon Urias on this team for the last 4 years. He is actually he's one of those players that he's a benefit to the team while you have him, and he's going to hurt the team if you let somebody else get him. Kind of reminds me of what Steve Pierce was to us a few years ago and Jay Gibbons. Like when they played, they were good for the team, and when they went to other teams, they definitely came back and beat us pretty good. So that's what it's looking like. So it looks like Brian Baker's going to make the team in the bullpen. It looks like Levon Soto is actually going to make the infield team. That'll allow Gunnar Henderson to get himself back in game shape and get back up here. And Soto did have a pretty decent spring. As a utility infielder, I think it's a benefit to have him. The fact that, you have Ramon Urias who can play short, second, third, first, in a pinch. You have Jordan Westberg, who can play second, short, and third. Jackson Holliday, who can play second and short. And, and then you even have Ryan Mountcastle and Ryan O'Hearn, who are platooning at first base. But remember, Ryan Mountcastle came up through our system as a shortstop. He's played third base. He's played in the outfield, which I would prefer to keep him out of there, just like Ryan O'Hearn has played in the corner outfield. Also looks like we're going to have Heston Kjerstad will be listed possibly as the fourth outfielder, is what it's looking like. So, there's a lot that I see happening in positive. And what's pretty good is the health of our team's not in bad shape. It's in pretty decent shape. Gunnar Henderson is coming back from an intercostal injury, which, as I told everybody, it's usually right in the rib cage area. It's the muscles that help support the rib cage and keep the chest wall from collapsing. So it's a strain there. It makes it hard to breathe. It makes it hard to actually turn depending on what side it is, also rotate and swing. So definitely I would rather have this happen now than later in the season. So, Gunnar Henderson can hit the ground running when he comes back. Grayson Rodriguez, same thing with him. Get him ready so he can hit the ground running when he comes back, and we have him for the rest of the season. And then even if we don't do anything at the trade deadline, right about the trade deadline before or after, we should be getting Tyler Wells and or Kyle Bradish back. Now, whether they're part of the rotation or part of the bullpen, those are two huge arms that are going to be joining our team. And those two arms could be the difference in the long run towards the postseason and even into the postseason. So there's a lot of positives going forward. And I know people are still concerned because of Gunnar Henderson and Grayson Rodriguez, but you forget, we also have Adley Rutschman. We have Tyler O'Neill, who I'm expecting big things from this year. I think we're going to monitor him well enough that we're actually going to keep him in the lineup, and he might actually play 120 games this year. It'd be great if we could get 120 games. I'd like more, but if we can get 120 games out of Tyler O'Neill, I'd be happy. I think Heston Kjerstad is really going to surprise a lot of people this year. The more bats he gets, I guarantee you're going to see the player that we drafted, where a lot of people thought we over-slotted him. I still think at the time we drafted him, he was the best pure hitter in the draft, and I think we got a steal out of the guy. His defense is not great, but he can play some defense in the outfield. So in the event that, Cowser or O'Neill need time off in the corner outfield spots, he can play. Cowser can also help with Mullins getting time off because he can play center field. So we're going to be in pretty good shape. I actually think we're going to have a big year from Mullins. Contract years tend to be motivational points for players, and I think that we're going to see a pretty strong year from Mullins. Will he bat leadoff? I don't know. I honestly think Jackson Holliday is the prototypical leadoff hitter. I could even see Jordan Westberg batting leadoff, but Jackson Holliday, I think, would be a good leadoff hitter. And even when Gunnar Henderson comes back, I would start with Jackson Holliday and then bat Gunnar second. I would put Adley Rushman batting third, with Tyler O'Neill batting fourth. And then Mountcastle or O'Hearn batting fifth, Westberg sixth, Cowser seventh, which you could actually flip-flop Westberg and Cowser. DH could be Gary Sanchez, it could be Ryan O'Hearn, and it could be Heston Kjerstad. And then you put Cedric Mullins down at the bottom because you're going to have your speed be the table setters for the beginning again. That's just thought processing, me thinking out loud. Whether it's going to happen, I don't know, but I think that'd be a strong lineup for us. So I think it's going to be a pretty good season. 94 wins is my prediction. I would definitely love a lot more, but 94 wins I think is going to be enough to compete for the division title and also get into the playoffs. AL East is going to be a blast this year. It's going to be a tough, difficult division. Possibility that we have 4 playoff teams. It's a division winner and 3 wild cards. It is a very strong possibility. Each team has upgraded and retooled. And I know everybody's talking about Boston, Toronto. Yankees are going through some tough things right now, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with them too. You can never count Tampa Bay out. But I do know one thing. Everything gets underway tomorrow. Game 1 of the season starts tomorrow. Now, just so you know, the Baltimore Orioles currently on a 3-game winning streak on opening day. Toronto's on a 5-game winning streak opening day. So something's got to give. Hopefully it's Toronto's 5-game winning streak going bye-bye. It'll also be interesting to watch what happens with Toronto this year, especially amid the Vladimir Guerrero situation. He obviously wins $500 million. The Blue Jays, I think, went as high as $400 million. And the way that they had the escalators and the deferred payment was actually going to make his contract less based off what he would have to pay in taxes over the long run. But it's going to be Zach Eflin against Jose Barrios. And interesting enough, Zach Eflin and Jose Barrios matched up against each other last opening day when the Blue Jays and Tampa Bay Rays played. So rematch of last opening day, except you have Zach Eflin on a better team. So we're going to wrap up there. Next time I'll be coming at you, the season will be underway. We'll have a few games under our belt, so we'll be able to talk about how we started the season out, what everything looks like, how everybody looks starting the season out, and go from there. At this time, once again, I'm going to bring Foxhole up here. If this is on YouTube, you can actually check the link in the profile. Gives you the link, Foxhole Coffee Concentrate. If you're a coffee lover like me, this will actually save you money than going to Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, McDonald's, and Wawa every day. All right. So instead of spending that $1 every day on it, $30 a month, you get this. I think I got this for it's $18, less than $18. And use 2 to 3 tablespoons to fill your cup. If you don't have a tablespoon, the cap actually doubles as a tablespoon. Add your creamer, your syrup, whatever you want as a sweetener. Then you add hot or cold milk or water, stir it up. You got yourself your coffee. I'm an iced coffee fan, so this is what I use it for. Great thing about Foxhole Premium Cold Brew Coffee is that they support veterans. One of the great things that they do is they help provide adoption and homes for service dogs for members of the military who are battling PTSD. One of the few companies out there that actually give back to the veterans, and I'm very thankful for that. Appreciate everything the veterans done, but also it helps with animals as well. And those are 2 big things for me. Hero Company is actually who makes this, and they have some great merchandise too. Bracelets, t-shirts, hats. So give it a check. Make sure you follow the link. If you're here on TikTok, you can actually go to my profile, open the solo link, and it's right in there as well. So give that a check. If you're a coffee fan, definitely try it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Definitely save you some money in the long run. Also, I want to give a big shout out to the Baltimore Battery. Without the Baltimore Battery, I would not be here. Don't forget to visit thebaltimorebattery.com. You can find us on X and TikTok with the handle of @the_Be_More_Battery. Don't forget, weekly, we also have a segment, 10 Minutes with Steven, that's going to appear on TikTok. Zach and me will be giving you updates throughout the season through TikTok as well. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you also follow us on X because we're releasing articles on a regular basis. We have our prediction. Baltimore Battery predictions are out where we actually predict the records, who our best player is going to be, who our best pitcher is going to be, and reasons why. So go give that a shout. Let us know, or give that a look. Let us know what you think of it. Let us know if you agree with it. Many other articles out there. Zachary's been on fire with them. Matt's got a few articles. RJ, Justin, Jared, and myself. We all have articles, so make sure you go check them out. Make sure you follow us all season long for continued updates. And last but not least, I want to give a big shout out to Scooters for Rent, one of my sponsors. They help keep the lights on. If it wasn't for them, computer wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here, and nor would the lights. And you wouldn't be able to listen to this wonderful assessment of the Baltimore Orioles. So until next time, please remember to keep the beer cold. Don't forget to check us out. You can find us on X at SRJ Heckman. You can also find us on YouTube if you want to see this beautiful face. We'll have video and there. And you can find us on almost any platform that does play podcasts. So make sure you give us a check. Make sure you give us a follow. Don't forget the final strike. I want to thank everybody. Until next time, keep that beer cold and peace out, Birdland. Thanks again.